Over halfway through my first year as a resident doctor, I still find myself asking, what's the point of intern year? As an anesthesia prelim rotating 90% not in my desired specialty, it objectively is probably making me a worse anesthesiologist, but the point is learning how to be a good doctor. Because intern year forces you into doing hard things, to face issues head on because you simply don't have a choice, and to see the situation knowing you can't fix this or probably can't help. But as an intern, you still have the naive innocence to say, I'm damn sure gonna try. It's a Friday night, I have a 28-hour shift tomorrow, and I'm nearing 85 to 86 hours of work this week. I honestly think I'd be a lot more worried if I wasn't questioning what in the world I'm doing right now. Yet I'm reminded of a gentleman who I took care of in the MICU, which I developed a strong relationship with because after many, many days of caring for him and talking about college football, when he lost the ability to speak and needed an invasive airway within the neck, his only way of communicating to me was through the iPhone Notes app. And in several days, it went from him turning around and saying, yeah, Carson Beck should have never gotten hurt and maybe Georgia would have won the national championship, to you're a really good doctor. But what got me really concerned at that moment was seeing that gratitude just felt like a checkbox to me. Where I've spent my whole life looking for achievement, where going above and beyond and caring to do the best that you can feels like an expectation and not an opportunity. I have a personal tradition, maybe call it a ritual, that whenever a patient of mine who I've gotten the privilege to care for passes, I always keep a bottle of wine in my fridge. We'll pour out a little, say a silent prayer for them, and share one last cheers with them. Over the past several months have been quite honestly the busiest month of residency, and I spent most of the time in the ICUs as well as very difficult services like oncology and vascular surgery. Services that are really, really heavy, and unfortunately made the wine bottle in my fridge very, very light out of respect for the patients that I cared for. I came into work on Christmas Eve to call a TOD and search for a heartbeat that was not there with my own stethoscope, all before 8 a.m. I silently prayed in the corner as chest compressions were stopped by the family, held a daughter's hand as I prepared suction and medications for her father's emergent intubation. In a year full of firsts, I remember each and every wrist for which I had to place an invasive blood pressure monitoring line in, and the hugs I gave to my co-interns as they went through their own first codes. As much as you probably won't believe me, I remember each set of pleading jaundiced eyes as pancreatic cancer blocked their biliary tract. And over the past several months, I remember coming in every single morning to do it all over again for the same patient or the newest admission when the last patient's room was cleared. And a very common defensive mechanism that myself and so many of my co-residents, both this program and programs all around the country, use is trying to convince ourselves that it's just a job. It's just a job, right? Residency is tough, and I don't think there's any way to really sugarcoat it. No amount of angles, flashing lights, traveling, stylistic ideals I can put on what I film can truly cover up that becoming a doctor is painful. When I've gone to update a family after doing chest compressions, and the first question they ask me, not about their loved one who is in the hospital bed, but is asking me, the doctor, are you okay? Was a big reminder for me to step back and remind myself and my own co-residents to take a little time for ourselves and look for resources that can help. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Aura, but even before I talk about them, There will be resources listed down below in the description for any of my co-residents out there who are struggling, because I don't say all this to trauma dump. I say it to tell you that you're not alone, and not even some random resident on YouTube is immune to what you're going through. Struggling to sleep and find rest when I come home from the hospital, some of my co-residents actually recommended Aura to me, and I've been using it for the past month or so to help sleep and unwind. And honestly, it's really been a nice change of pace. Life gets really busy and crazy, and whether your mind is filled with the EKG beeps or the constant telephone calls from your own work, Aura is an all-in-one app that has been the top rated on the App Store, Google Play Store, all those for many, many years, because it helps you to find a way that you relax best. Whether that's with guided meditation, ASMR, background noise, study and relaxing music, little motivational snippets from coaches and motivational speakers to get you fired up in the morning, or if you have a faith background, even some guided devotionals. It's all in one place so that you can find a way to relax no matter what the day throws at you. Over 7 million people are using it to get better sleep and to find a way to clear their head. A lot of the music and background noises that you've been hearing throughout this video are straight from Aura, and are tunes you can find in my own personal playlist, and are just a sneak peek to the giant catalog that Aura has. Get started with Aura today for free using the link in my description. The first 500 people to use it will get 25% off and a free trial of Aura membership. I do want to reiterate, this is not a direct substitute for professional help, but is an excellent, excellent resource to figure out what resources can help you and what really works best for you, all right from your phone. So thank you so much to my own co-residents for recommending, and to Aura for sponsoring today's video. So speaking of my co-residents, my brothers and sisters in arms, is it just me that's feeling all this? How are they doing? If residency is just a job, why is it that I get to watch one of my favorite people I've ever met, one of my incredibly smart and talented senior residents, nearly tear up as he's caring for someone who looks like his aunt or uncle? And why is it that he comes up to me and asks me if I'm okay after I care for the first patient since I've been in residency that looks like me? Why then does my MICU senior feel so inclined to spontaneously hug me out of pure support after a particularly overwhelming day? And why does she try so hard to drag myself and my team out into the snow in the middle of the day just so we can get a hint of joy from the snowflakes falling on our hair? Why then do my anesthesia colleagues, who seem so separated from myself as an intern, continue to remind me that there is light at the end of the tunnel, a tunnel that they all went through as well? Why then does residency give me this beloved crew of human beings who I'm so happy to call friends, future colleagues, and going through all the weird and wacky together? And why does this process create lifelong friends that I'm gonna be able to call in the hospital, both on my side of the drapes and I guess the other side of the drapes, if people like doing that? And if this is just a job, why is it that the resident doctors that you see roaming around the halls are so tightly bonded by their experiences, trauma, and their ultimate care for patients, and then each other? On one of my most difficult days as an intern, involving several emergent intubations, difficult conversations with family regarding end-of-life care, I sat down somewhat defeated at my workstation, angry at my helplessness to fix everything. And my MICU senior came up to me, probably seeing the tears welling up near in my eyes, and said, "You care." don't lose that. And so this is how our coworkers support each other, our co-residents. But it's still just a job, right? It's been a mental battle for me to combat what I like to call fatigue of expectation. On medicine services, it's very common for residents to draw out this little box on our rounding sheet. Each box would represent a specific task that would need to get done during the day, and it would help us stay organized when we're covering 9, 10, 15, 20 patients to make sure that no task is left behind. When your expectation every day, all day as a resident is to just check boxes off and get things done, I think it's really easy to start to believe that an above and beyond achievement and above and beyond impact on someone's life can just turn into a checkbox if you allow it. But notice how there are only, at least for me, 6 of those boxes that need to be checked off during the day. And I started to realize as I went throughout residency, where do I put the tasks that are above and beyond those checkboxes? For me, they represent pre-rounding, notes, orders, consults, labs, and electrolytes. But where do I put calling the family and updating them? Where do I put spending the extra 30 minutes with a nervous gentleman just talking about golf and the Masters because in his severely diseased state, it was the one bit of conversation that brought him back joy in his life. Where do you put spending the extra 5 to 10 minutes drawing with the 5-year-old that just came out of surgery to make sure that they're okay, safe, and happy going home? Where do you put the time spent teaching the students on the team how to become better future physicians, healthcare workers, and grow in their own confidence in working with patients, just as I'm figuring it out along the way? These are things that aren't checkboxes and should never be checkboxes. And as residency has grilled into me the status quo of achievement, something that is so rarely advertised and should be about residency, is celebrating those small moments that will only be between you and the patient. When I pour out a little bit of my glass of wine for the patients who I've had the privilege of caring for who are no longer with us, part of my prayer goes like this. 1, may they be at peace. 2, may they know that we tried everything we could. And 3, may there have been something not medicine related that gave them some healing, joy, smiles, and laughter in some of their last moments. And though I may never know the answer to if I contributed to any of that for these people, I'm trying so hard to still care and to not lose that, especially right now. Basically nearing 3/4 done of intern year. So as much as residency is the most challenging thing I've ever done, it's certainly asked to fill in a spot that is not on the typical box of tasks that we are all called to do. And believe it or not, I love residency, because not in the sense of putting in all the hours and all of your eggs in one basket. It is more than a job, but in a way that I promise you makes an impact in people's lives and fills in boxes in their lives that they didn't know needed to be checked off. Good to make a video again. We'll see when the next one shows up.